Ermanni, University of Michigan great Braylon Edwards, and of course, Maz are about to take over on Woodward Sports. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m., it's the best Detroit sports talk on Detroit's best sports network, Woodward Sports.
Hey, let's go! Monday show, February 24, 2025. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, Woodward Sports Network, woodwardsports.com. If you're watching on X, we say good afternoon to you. Braylon out today. Tom Mazaway, good afternoon to you on the big desk today with your green pillow.
I got a promotion. You can't really see the green pillow.
I can see the green pillow.
Yeah, but
Ricky, can you see the green pillow?
I cannot see the green pillow. You're looking tall up there, man.
I'm a blocker, man. No, it's behind my back. No, I'm not sitting on it, Rick.
Spivak, can you see the green
I
pillow?
can see the green pillow. He's cheating. I see him back there.
It's to keep my back up.
You're
not
on
lean
yard?
back.
Maybe I should.
Why don't you put there's the other
Pete,
one.
would you do me a favor?
Yes, sir.
Do you mind getting that green pillow real quick and running it up to me? Do you mind? I'm sorry.
Put it on your back.
I'm going to check this out.
Yeah, you'll see. You'll appreciate it.
He's
Thank
about
you,
to
Pete
upgrade
Spivak.
you.
Thank you, Pete Spivak.
Now, those are my pillows usually in the Maz chair.
But you use both of them to
I
sit
do.
down, don't you?
I do.
Give you a little bit of height.
Well, I crush that, man. That doesn't really give you height, but it gives me maybe that much.
This is very relaxing.
See? Don't you feel
Man,
better?
I feel left out.
Gosh.
Now,
Do I
don't
need to
think
pull
you're
up?
getting that anymore. That's
I've
mine.
been missing out on the experience of the...
We got more pillows out in the Lady Jane's lounge. The Lady Jane's lounge.
So
I look so
good.
much better up here. That's such a bad shot. I dare anyone to sit in that chair. That chair, now look, that chair adds 20 pounds to you. Not 10 pounds.
Hold on.
That chair is
Ryan's
20
just taking your whole
freaking pounds
swag.
to
There
you.
you go. Ryan's just
Okay?
gonna take your whole
It's the
spot for
worst lighting. The worst lighting. Look at you. You're all washed out.
Yeah, look at
See?
that.
There you go.
It's the
That's my
angle.
life every day. Now
That's
look
the
at me.
angle.
See? See that? It's the magic of the desk. See, I don't look as bad as you think I look. I mean, I'm bad, but not as bad as you think I look sitting in that chair. Hi, everybody.
Happy Monday, everybody. Ricky Burns
Monday.
and Spivak with us.
It's
Yes,
gold
sir.
medal day, baby.
Look
right.
at that, Tom Mazaway.
45 years ago. Just watched the last 10 minutes of the game. The U.S. brought home the Olympic medal, beat Finland. They were down 2-1 going into the
Finlandia.
third period.
So
Herb
sick.
Brooks looked at him and said, "You guys will absolutely hate yourselves. You will never forgive yourselves if you don't come back and win." They come back and they win it 4-2 and take the gold home.
So 45 years ago today was the day that the U.S. won the gold medal
Yep,
in the
Miracle on Ice.
1980
Oh,
Olympics.
okay.
Lake
And a lot
Placid.
of people, well, I say a lot of people, I mean, everybody knows it was alive, but a lot of people don't realize that when the United States beat Russia,
Yeah.
that was just in the semis.
That was just to get in.
get to the gold medal
Yep.
game.
Had they lost to Finland, they would have lost the gold.
I never knew that until I
Yep.
started working here.
Yeah.
You would have swore.
See?
They got movies about it, heli articles. You would have thought that was a championship.
That's exactly right. So Maz, for those of you that don't know Tom Mazaway, he calls this the greatest sports experience of his life.
Yeah.
Expound upon that for me. What
There's-
can you tell me about that time, Tom Mazaway,
Yeah.
growing up, 1980? You were about, what, 15 at the time? 14,
80?
13?
I was 18.
18?
I was 18.
Okay.
Just turned 18
Ugh.
because they won on February 22nd, of course. They beat the Russians on February 22nd, 1980. And Little Lake Placid. And they won that game at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, by the way. But ABC, the Russians would not let them move the game to 8 o'clock so they play it in prime time. The Russians said no. So they had to play it at 5, and they tape delayed it at 8 o'clock. And from what I understand, the late great Bill Bonds kind of blew the secret at the 5 o'clock news.
I've heard this story.
I wasn't here. I was
I've
in
never
Jersey.
heard this
I've
story.
heard
I was
You
in
really
Jersey,
working in
but yeah,
broadcasting, I've
he
heard it.
kind of ruined the secret on his newscast that the Americans won.
He
yeah.
said, like, congratulations.
I'm pretty sure.
He said, like,
the chat-
congratulations or something.
A lot of chatters that grew up in the Detroit area, you could probably expound more on this, but this is what I've heard about. So anyway, there you are watching that game, and let me try to put it in context for you. You just watched USA versus Canada in the Four Nations. Was that a great tournament or what?
Maz,
Yeah.
we have not had a chance to talk since then.
Yep.
That was one of the great sports experiences of the last 5 years.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, truly.
For hockey, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the pride that you take when your country is playing. And I don't think, and I said this last week when Braylon and I were talking about it, I don't think there's a sport where it means as much to play for your country than hockey. Now, I know soccer, of course, but it's more of an international game.
No,
Correct.
Like the entirety of soccer is
It's
about
international.
international.
Correct. We're a small part of it.
But when your prime sport is within season, right? Like Major League Baseball or the NBA or something, playing for your country seems secondary. Whether it's the World Cup, I know Jim Leland in that World Baseball Classic was the manager of that team.
That was
he
fun.
cried. That was great.
Fun. Love the WBC.
But more people decline that invite than want to play.
Yeah.
Dylan Larkin even said, I hope some cats that are sitting home watching this want to be a part of the Golden Medal.
Absolutely.
Or be a part of the Olympics.
So it's like taking one of those teams that are chock full of stars and then picking out a bunch of college kids, making a college all-star team and playing against that team.
Crazy.
You think they'd have a chance? Not a chance in hell. That's exactly what that USA team in 1980 did. College kids that didn't know each other until Herb Brooks put them together months before that. And he took them in and he beat the Russian National Army, the best team in the world. The best team in the world they beat. It was amazing. Out of 100 times, he said it, Herb Brooks, they'll win 99. But tonight's your night. They're not taking this away from you. Not tonight, not today.
One of the great things about this job, which will never I will never take for granted, is how cool it is when you grow up rooting for something. Like, for instance, when I grew up, one of my first memories of sports is Kirk Gibson on the front page of the
I got
Detroit
that at home.
Free Press
Love it.
with his fists raised in the air.
Great.
The fact that Kirk Gibson could walk in here and be like, "Hey Ryan, how you doing? How are you? Great." My senior year in high school, Darren McCarty scored a goal that sealed the Stanley Cup for the Detroit Red Wings.
Wire
We
to
went
wire,
nuts.
Philly.
The fact that I consider Darren McCarty a friend today that I could call up on the phone is quite remarkable. And to bring it home, Tom Mazaway, the fact that you were texting back and forth with Jim Craig today,
The
who
goalie.
was the goalie on that USA 1980 gold medal team, has to give you thrills.
It does. I've had him on our shows many times in the past. He couldn't do it today. He was actually flying between 2 and 4.
Dang.
Otherwise, they would have had him on. Michael Ruzioni, same thing for him.
He's
He
my
had a lot
boy.
of speaking engagements. These guys talk about this all the time. That's how big that event was.
Pretty cool, man.
If you guys get a chance and you're bored tonight after the Pistons are blowing out the Clippers, go on YouTube and search out the USA and Russia or USA and Finland from 1980. Watch the whole damn game.
Hey Ryan, you and I are, we were separated by about 3-4 years, but that was one of my first memories. Is I could still hear Al Michaels in my head going, "Ruzioni scored!" Because I watched it on. My dad was watching it on the tape delay and all that sort of stuff, and that was news to me. And I still remember that watching it with my father. That was along with the Kirk Gibson. That was one of my first
Just
memories. Was
absolutely
that of Ruzioni.
tremendous.
Sports
It is.
rule.
Did they win gold that year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
they did.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Today they beat Finland today for the
45 years ago.
45
today. And you mentioned the Pistons, Maz. Let's start there because
I love this team. I've told you that.
What an amazing,
What'd I tell you,
amazing
Ricky?
game.
I watched it last night,
Yeah.
man. It is do whatever you want to do season for Cade Cunningham.
Yep.
That kid does what he wants to do with that ball.
29 points in the first half.
First
He finished with 38 points. Cade Cunningham, the fourth player in NBA history to score 35 plus,
Crazy.
10 plus assists, and 3 blocks, and 7 3-pointers made in the game. Cade Cunningham. And
Superstar.
the juxtaposition here, too, with because we have talked a lot over the last year about some years you get the number 1 pick when Cade Cunningham is the first pick, and some years you get the number 1 pick when Victor Wembanyama is the first pick. And boy, do we have to eat those words.
Yeah.
And I'm not here at all.
Not eat
to
them. We
write-
should have had both of them.
But listen, I'm not here to write the story on Victor Wembanyama yet. at all. So please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But he is out with a blood clot in his shoulder for the remainder of the season.
Oops.
We just don't know how those turn out. However, Cade Cunningham, it just goes to show you, if you put the work in, which he absolutely has, and if you put competent veteran players around a superstar, and I don't know if he's a superstar yet, but it sure is trending in
Playing
that
like
direction.
one.
He already is.
Trending
Playing
in
like
that
one.
direction. Just goes to show you what this player can do. And boy, oh boy, could this be a fun decade when you see the ability that he has to score whenever he wants, when you see the ability to create for his teammates whenever he wants. Now, listen, they score 148, 140, they give up 143. Nobody's playing defense. But if he does need to stop, he can defend as well. And I know that seems a little counterintuitive when they score 143, but he can play a little bit of defense too. This guy can do everything, and this is going to be a fun decade. I firmly believe that.
That was a 1970s, 1980s Denver Nugget game yesterday. You know, they used to score 140 points a game. They used to average that. That to me, look, I love defense, but once in a while, a fun offensive game like that, I'll take it. It was like an all-star game. It was hardly any defense, but I'll take it as long as my team winds up on top. And that's 6 straight now. They get the Clippers coming into town tonight. They got quite a number of home games coming up here. I'm telling you, I implore you guys, go to Little Caesars Arena, buy yourself a ticket. You can go to the box office there. It's right there on Woodward. Or you can go on and buy a secondary ticket. They're undervalued, and you could sit, have a good seat, and enjoy yourself. It's great, man, to watch this team. I just love – they're making me enjoy basketball again.
Yeah,
and that's been
same.
a long time coming.
And Ricky, too, you've got to give Trajan Langdon a lot of credit. It seems like every move this guy makes is paying off for this basketball team. Even really, I don't know if it was a nothing signing. That's not the right way to say it. But it was an afterthought in NBA circles when the Pistons picked up Dennis Schroeder.
I was just about to say.
And this is a guy that has come in here, solidified that backcourt, and oh, by the way, under a minute to go in the game, who gets the ball? Cade? No. It's right in the hands of Dennis Schroeder, who drive to the basket, hooping the foul against his former team, the Atlanta Hawks.
How about it?
He's
Every
like
move
he's
this
a
guy
general
makes.
out there. You can see him talking to the young guys, telling, pointing, directing them what to do. And like that, I was just about to mention that play to basically win the game, to seal the game at least.
Johnny Kane interviewed him after the game, and he asked him, how do you feel about this team? He's like, look, I've only been here a couple of weeks, but I feel like I've been here forever. The minute they took us in, and I forgot the other player that came in with him was Cade's roommate, Cade's former teammate at Oklahoma State. I forgot who it was, who they got in that trade, but they took these guys in, and they just fit right in. It's like the Lions, man. Listen, it's starting to become like the Lions.
Lindy Waters.
Yeah.
Must
He
be
said
in
him
the
and
water
Lindy.
out here, man. Something about Detroit sports right now. You come here.
It's kumbaya.
Yeah. Think about
Really
all the
is.
coaches, every coach that came here since, man.
Well, it starts.
It's in the water, man.
It starts at the top too, and I think again, for as much criticism as Tom Gores has had from the Detroit sports fan, from Pistons fans over the last decade or however long he's owned the team, I think it takes a great will and a desire to win when you eat an $80 million contract.
Yep.
Not every owner would realize that he made a horrible mistake in giving a guy like Monty Williams an $80-some million contract. And very few owners would then at that time say, you know what, this is a mistake. We're going to write the check. We're going to move on. And then to go out and simultaneously really seem like you hit the jackpot with Trajan Langdon, really a first-year general manager.
Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of like a Brad Holmes type guy, right, for New Orleans.
Yep. An assistant in the background,
Exactly.
paying attention to the draft, scouting players.
And finally gets the top job here in Detroit. He has been fantastic. JB Bickerstaff is that Dan Campbell culture guy.
He's coach of the year right now.
This coaching staff, this organization is everything you could want. Malik Beasley comes off the bench and lights it up. I mean, just whether it's Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley, Dennis Schroeder, Jalen Duren's growth.
Ron Holland.
Jalen Duren's growth is trending to be
that was my guy,
a superstar at some point. This guy's 21 years old?
Crazy.
Yep. He's a baby.
This is still a very young team, and I think when you look at the standings, and Maz, you pointed out 6 straight wins. They've won 8 of 10. They are firmly in the 6th spot in the Eastern Conference.
They have a 94% chance of making the playoffs.
It would take an absolute disaster for them not to make the playoffs. And then you've got to look at this and say, okay, they're going to have a winning record.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got 25 games more to go. They just got to go
play 500 ball.
They got to go 10 and 15 to finish 500.
Wow.
Can they go 15 and 10 and
they can
wind up with 46 wins?
Yeah.
Absolutely. They are staring the Bucks down in the face right now with the number 5 spot. They're closer to the 5 spot than they are to the 7 spot.
Yes, that's a fact.
Which would get them in the play-in game.
Right now, as it sits, they'd play the Knicks, and I've been arguing with Hanson. He's like, that's a great matchup for them. It is. The Knicks don't beat winning teams.
They have not yet.
The Knicks do not beat winning teams.
Literally, I think they're 0 for the season.
They are, at least against the top
The
3
top
teams.
3, yeah.
I think it might be a good matchup. I mean, it's tough to win 4 out of 7, but heck, man, just get in the game. Just get in the game.
Hey, Ryan, to your Malik Beasley point, I just read a very, very interesting stat from 5 hours ago from Zach Lowe, who's a very good NBA guy on Instagram. Only one player in NBA history has hit more than 42% on threes while attempting at least 11 per 36 minutes, according to basketballreference.com. That player would be Steph Curry. Someone else is on pace to become the second ever player to accomplish this in this group, and that would be only one player, Malik Beasley.
How about it?
Nice.
How about it? He has been a godsend, and again, goes
He wants
back
to be here.
Matt, it was just you take the words out of my mouth. It just goes. There's another player along with Dennis Schroeder who has been here for a long time that says, I almost said Brad Trajan, please don't trade me. I really want to be here. And I think a lot of these guys too. A guy like Malik Beasley, who's bounced around a little bit, and finally now getting a home, getting a spot, being an elevated player on a playoff caliber team, that means something to these guys too. Once they get their shot to play basketball and take all the business side of it out, where they could just simply play, I think guys appreciate that too.
No doubt, man.
It's a tremendous thing, and
they want to be wanted.
Right?
Who doesn't want to be wanted? When you're at a job and you feel disrespected, you're on a team, you feel disrespected. You're not there's no way you could put your whole self into that. And that's where you get guys like Beasley. And guess what? The word's out on the street now about this team. Next year, they're going to have some money under the cap. Mm-hmm. Who knows what Trajan Langdon is going to dig up. He might have been able to trade Malik Beasley at the deadline. A lot of teams would have loved to have a guy like him. But you know what? I'm glad he held on to him. I think you're going to sign him to a long-term deal. I really believe that. And next year, who the heck knows where this team can go. They might be top 3 of the East next year.
But again, you look at it, Cade is 23, Duren 21. You got to mix in some guys like a Beasley who's 28 years old.
Tobias Harris is here for that reason. He's here to be that veteran presence.
And the same with Tim Hardaway Jr. You've got to have some strong veterans, some really good veteran players to help these young guys become pros a little bit too, understand what the deal is. And we haven't even seen Jaden Ivey yet, what he could do. I mean,
he was having a hell of a season.
Absolutely,
he went down with that injury.
He really was. And there was a big question as to whether or not he and Cade could play together. I think that was answered in the early part of the season. But again, he's 23 years old. So this is a team that's got a really good nucleus. I don't want to go overboard here because of this stretch that we're in, but I was listening to Colin Cowherd and Jason McIntyre talk about the face of the league in the NBA and how you really can't have a foreign guy be the face of the league in the NBA. Whether it's Luka or Jokic
Right.
or Antetokounmpo or somebody like
right.
that. It's got to be, an American-born player for whatever reason.
Stephen A. Smith got in trouble for saying it about the MLB a couple years ago.
He did get in trouble
Again,
for saying
he
that.
was
but
right.
He did. Now Shohei Ohtani seems like it's a completely next level type player. But then there's Aaron Judge as well.
Yeah.
But either way, they were talking about this in NBA terms, and they kept bringing up Anthony Edwards, who I love that player. I love Anthony Edwards. He's the perfect. He's got the perfect personality to be that guy. The only problem is Minnesota isn't winning now.
I think Cade could be that guy.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
That's where I was going. At 23 years old, 5 years from now,
Yeah.
when this player is 28 and the Pistons are in a fight for an
Finals.
NBA championship, an NBA finals, couldn't you see? And again, you feel like you make these big proclamations and people don't hear what you're saying. I'm talking about 5 years from now, if this track continues and the Pistons do make the playoffs over the next 5 years, they do win series, they do compete for NBA finals, an Eastern Conference final, and 5 years from now, Cade Cunningham's 28 years old, who says this player can't be the face of the league?
I hope so.
I'm not saying it.
Yeah.
I'm saying he could be.
That's what.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just feels like that guy.
Yeah. He's got that swagger. He's getting.
I
don't
would
know.
like him to smile a little bit more. I
Eh,
would like him
he's a
to
good-looking
smile
kid.
a little
He's a
bit more.
good-looking kid.
I'm just saying that because as a face of the league too, you got to have like a killer he's got a killer mentality. But I'm talking about that
I get it.
Michael Jordan used to smile a lot, believe it or not.
Right. Yeah.
Michael Jordan in those interviews with Ahmad
Yeah, but
Rashad, he would smile a lot.
But then he punched his teammates in the face. So it's
he
like,
would joke
Hey,
a lot.
the
But
king of the smiles, of course, Magic Johnson.
yeah,
Well,
there
yeah,
you go.
that's king.
And you know who didn't smile ever? Larry Bird.
Charles
But,
Barkley.
but he was funny that way to me. The more I look back at Larry Bird's career, the more I'm hurt that I hated his guts. I couldn't root for him, but he was so freaking good.
Yes.
So good.
See how you feel about Tom Brady. I felt about Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Perry.
Oh, yeah. I hated them.
I just hated the Celtics.
1987.
Bro, I've been hating the Celtics since before you were born.
I understand.
I was a Knicks fan.
I understand. I'm not trying to compare hate.
Yeah.
But you know how you fully could never appreciate Tom Brady?
Yeah.
I feel that way about the Celtics.
Yeah.
I feel like that about Larry Bird.
Yeah.
And even more so than Michael Jordan, right? Because
He's just different.
he is different. I have
he's
grown to
different.
appreciate and like and respect Michael Jordan. Bird I never liked. Bird I never respected. Bird I never enjoyed.
Favre is like that for me.
He ripped my heart out.
Who was Favre?
Yeah, Favre's like that for me.
Favre?
I
No,
don't
Bird,
care how many
Bird-
accolades, I can never like him.
Yeah, Bird ripped my heart out in 1987. So I hear you, Ryan.
Totally.
You know who hit a home run for the Sox yesterday, by the way?
Oh God.
Which Sox?
Red Sox.
Oh no! Don't say Alex.
Alex Bregman.
He hit it over there. Baby green monster.
He's going to be a good
He
player.
hit it on the street.
He's going to be a good player for them.
Yeah, he is.
It could be a little chaotic, but that's fine. It could be a little chaotic.
We'll
but
talk
that's fine.
baseball later.
Yeah, we will. I just to put a final bow in the Pistons. Are you going to go to the game tonight?
I was thinking about it. I'm not sure yet because I'm not sure.
By the way,
I would love to. I'd like to see the Clippers.
By the way, the Clippers, who are kind of right in the thick of things for a playoff berth in the Western Conference. The Western Conference.
I wouldn't mind seeing the Clippers win it all.
Western Conference is by far superior to the Eastern Conference. I mean, the number 10 team in the Western Conference is 500.
Right.
Yeah.
28. The number 10 team in the East, 13 games under 500.
Wow.
There isn't a 7, 8, 9, 10 playoff teams play in tournament,
Right.
but playoff teams, those teams are all under 500 in the Eastern Conference. But just the Clippers for a minute.
Do you have their record handy?
Yeah, it's 31-25. They're in the sixth
Okay.
spot.
So
it's
they're
a
not much better than us.
Battle of 6 spots tonight.
There you go.
But I was sitting there thinking about the Clippers because I saw a score. I was watching. I don't remember what it was, ESPN or whatever I was watching last night, I saw the score come across because the Clippers played yesterday as well. And they lost to the Indiana Pacers yesterday. But it was James Harden, 31 points, 7, whatever. Kawhi Leonard, DNP. And I'm just thinking, has there been a bigger, waste of talent than Kawhi Leonard over the last 10 years?
Hey, he got his championship.
He did.
Yeah. He hit the shot that was still one of the most amazing shots that bounced and went in.
But Kawhi Leonard to me is like that guy that just.
How about Ben Simmons?
Well, Ben Simmons was never great though. Ben Simmons was injured always, but he was never great. You never looked at this guy like, what if?
Right. I thought he was on his way.
Not me.
And then he just folded up like a cheap chair.
Kawhi Leonard is a top 5 player in the NBA who just never plays. And is a reason, as far as I'm concerned, is why the NBA, people talk about the NBA ratings and how people don't respect the NBA and this, that, and the other thing. I think he's part of the problem. When your superstar players don't play, and when your superstar players take load management days, I posted over the weekend.
I think I saw this.
This was J.J. Redick. I wish I had the tweet for you. This was J.J. Redick.
He's on it.
Head coach of the Lakers right now.
Head coach of the Lakers. The NBA page tweeted a quote, a soundbite from J.J. Redick saying he's a billionaire playing on the second night of a back-to-back at 40. And he was talking about LeBron James. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm so embarrassed for you that you would tweet this out. What the NBA doesn't realize is it's because of that a lot of people don't watch the NBA anymore.
Right.
Because your superstars for many years, not so much the last 2 or 3 years, never played. You'd buy a ticket and there'd be a load management night.
Oh man, I had a friend that happened to. He bought tickets to see LeBron. I think it was LCA. Yeah, it was still LCA.
Oh yeah,
and
they take Detroit off.
And he just completely took it off that night, and they didn't know until.
Remember Jokic last year? He got himself thrown out of the game in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yes, I do
in
remember
Detroit.
that.
Here in Detroit, so
I
he can
remember that.
So he can just sit out.
But I was so embarrassed for them. It was so tone deaf. Do you know when I'm driving to work at 4:30 in the morning, and the 57-year-old guy pouring concrete on the highway, wearing the orange jacket or whatever, busting his tail, and this guy is talking about playing basketball for a whole 2 straight days?
Yeah.
So tone deaf to me.
I'm trying to get the quote for you, Ryan. Hang on.
He basically said it.
Yeah, it's fine. I just
because I got the video too.
Oh, if you got the video,
hang on. Give me a second for
no problem.
One thing.
But it was to me, it feeds into exactly. They think they're doing LeBron James a service by he's a billionaire playing the second game of a back-to-back at 40, and I'm like, I'm so ashamed that you would ever tweet that.
As a staff, we're talking before the game. Not sure going to sleep last night if he's playing today, and getting word this afternoon that he was in. It's like, man, he really just defies anything that's normal, and not just the physical feats and the plays. It's the mentality. He is, again, I believe I saw the other day, he's a billionaire. And he's playing on the second night of a back-to-back at 40 after 22 years with every frickin' record and every accolade. And the kids will say that I'm glazing him. He's one of the greatest competitors. And Nate and I were talking about it before the game. It's like,
to me, it absolutely speaks and reeks of why the NBA has lost so much viewership. And then you saw last week PK Subban during the Four Nations tournament when he was making the rounds on ESPN, the car wash, as they say, going on every single show on the difference between the NHL players and the NBA players. But he was PK Subban was specifically speaking about one player in the NBA as to why their ratings are down.
Was it
And
LeBron?
It was LeBron James.
Listen, man. Sports to me is like it's my life, my family, and sports. I've never liked him. Never. I could just look through a guy and I just know. And I don't care. He opened schools. He did this. I never liked him. He's always been a me guy. I despised what he did when he left the Cavaliers and went to Miami. Had a whole TV thing about. I hated it. The decision. I hated it. I'm not going to look back and say, "Wow, I really missed something." I'm not. I'm just not. I can't wait till he retires.
Well, that may be sooner rather than later. Who knows? But we'll see. But again,
the thing he pulled with his kid this year. Another thing. I mean, give me a break.
I don't blame him for that at all. That I don't blame him for. That I don't blame him for. I think anybody would have done that. A lot of people would have done that.
Good for the Lakers. They're going down the tube.
Either way, we'll see what happens with it. But Pistons and Clippers. I don't know how we got on a LeBron James talk. But
you can't talk NBA without missing LeBron James.
I got there because of Kawhi Leonard and all the load management and all that stuff. But
the load management, that's his middle name. That's LeBron's middle name. He started it.
It really helped ruin the game. But hey, thankfully too for us here in Detroit, we've got a team that we can root for. Guys do play hard every night, and I'd like to see everybody out at LCA tonight. Clippers, Pistons tonight, 7 o'clock, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Going to take a break. Want to get to, we'll definitely talk NHL today. Red Wings, of course. Tigers, of course, 3 o'clock, top of hour number 2. Coming up, we'll talk to Jason Beck, Tigers reporter for MLB.com. We'll have him live from Lakeland. They had a rain out today. But next, I want to get to the NFL.
Our favorite guy. Our favorite subject.
I'm telling you, he will be the domino.
He's the straw
of all dominoes in the NFL. And he was given permission today to seek a trade or a contract with another team. And his name is Matthew Stafford. We'll talk about that coming up. But first, a message from Caesars.
That's right, everybody. We just talked about the Pistons here for a half hour. They are absolutely on fire. The Red Wings are doing well as well. And the Tigers are just about to get underway. So scan that QR code above my head and use the code word Woodward1000 to open up your brand new Caesars Sportsbook account. When you do this, deposit at least $20, make a bet of $20 or more. If that first bet happens to lose, you'll get that first bet back as a bonus bet up to $1,000, but only if you scan the QR code above my head and use that code word Woodward1000 to open up your brand new Caesars Sportsbook account. We'll be right back.
Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon. And Ermanni and Edwards with Maz Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsandSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment. from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
Hey guys, dreaming of a new home but feeling the financial pinch? Well, Mark White and Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right, $5,000 that you can keep in your pocket. Call Mark White and Associates today, 248-290-8242. Hit them up online as well, markwhitesells.com. Again, that number, 248-290-8242 to make your dreams come true.
I found this to be interesting. I think this is the storyline of the offseason.
I love it.
Even more so than Myles Garrett, because obviously a top 5 quarterback is, and again, top 5, top 6, however you want to characterize Matthew Stafford. Anytime one of those players has a chance to move to a different team, that will set the league on fire, and that is the story of the offseason. Where will Matthew Stafford end up? He has been given permission. The Rams have given his agent and himself permission to speak with other teams and seek a deal. He wants $50 million per year, which I'll tell you, he absolutely deserves. Does he not?
Amen.
Yes. Mahomes, Allen, Goff, Hurts,
Absolutely.
Herbert, all over $50 million.
You saw what he was doing.
Dak. Yep.
Dak,
Yeah.
Hey, yes, Dak's getting it. He's definitely getting it.
absolutely belongs over $50 million. Do the Rams want to pay that or not?
No, they
really a question for a year or two, maybe. But I believe that this is the story, and the teams that are in on this, the New York Giants, which does surprise me a little bit. New York Giants, Cleveland Browns, Las Vegas Raiders, and the Pittsburgh Steelers
I told you why the Giants
have
are in.
all shown interest.
I told you why they're in. They're in because Joe Shane, their GM, and Brian Daboll, their head coach, are on the thinnest of ice. And just like Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn here, when they didn't take a quarterback because they didn't have 3 years to wait, they went out and got Jeff Okudah. And supposedly Jeff Okudah was going to help them solidify that defense. But guess what? They didn't last till Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, they were fired. And that was the end of them. So if Joe Shane and Brian Daboll do not have a guy like Matthew Stafford throwing to this pretty decent offense that they put together. And why does this kid's name just run out of my head? Who's the wide receiver? Help me.
Malik Neighbors?
Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is already a top 7 receiver in the NFL. Top 10 at worst. And he's coming off one rookie season. If they don't win, those guys are gone by Thanksgiving as well. That's why they're in on the Matt Stafford deal.
But Stafford, for as much as, he would get the money anywhere. If you look at these teams, which team would give him the biggest opportunity to win? And believe it or not, it may just be the New York Giants. And hear me out on this.
From picking third?
Hear me out on this.
All right.
The Giants could be they've got a pretty solid defense.
They do.
Right.
They've got a pretty decent O-line. Decent. So he needs to be protected. And they are in an extremely weak NFC. The NFC, to me, is very weak.
I disagree with you there.
Okay.
Very
fine.
much so.
I think they can make a wild card appearance. And if they can get in a wild card, why not? But Pittsburgh to me is they've got nobody there. They've got no running back. They've got no running game. They've got no wide receivers. Well, I shouldn't say that. They've got George Pickens.
They got Pickens, but I don't even think he'll be there.
Raiders, Browns, no. I don't really know.
Well, remember the Browns, just for a second. The Browns have a ton of talent. including Myles Garrett on defense. They have a lot of talent. Hey, I picked them to make the playoffs last year because I thought Deshaun Watson would revert back to his old self, and it didn't happen. He's done. He's shot. So if you put a Matthew Stafford in Cleveland, I do believe they have a chance to make some noise in that division. I do.
By which case maybe they would or probably would not trade
Probably not.
Myles Garrett.
If they got Matthew Stafford, Myles Garrett ain't going anywhere.
No.
So we don't want him to go to Cleveland. We want him to go to the Giants, the Raiders, or I don't care where the heck he goes, to be honest with you. But I got the replacement for him in L.A. This is what Sean McVay is cooking up.
Yep.
They get rid of Stafford. They save money. They pick up draft picks. And I've told you this before. I don't think they take their quarterback this year. I think they stockpile draft picks and shoot for the next year, where I'm sure they have a guy in mind. Matter of fact, Jackson Dart, I think, was a rumor this year to maybe go to Sean McVay at one point. But if they trade those picks and they wait, they stockpile picks. Remember, they got rid of a lot of their picks when they won that Super Bowl. Remember the F those picks? Mm-hmm. Well, they won the Super Bowl. Guess what, man? Kirk Cousins comes over there for the league minimum and plays 2 years while they draft their quarterback. I believe Kirk Cousins with Sean McVay and that team, I think he can do very, very well.
See, I would much rather, if I'm L.A., rather go back to the well with Sam Darnold than Kirk Cousins. Because Sam Darnold...
But you have to pay Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's going to make $30 to $40 million.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins is making whatever the minimum is.
Yeah.
Because $40 million is from Atlanta. Atlanta's paying him a salary. And Atlanta
What
ain't
about
going to keep
Aaron
him.
Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers is another guy. I talked about that last week. He's a California guy. I thought two teams he
He's
could
there
go
right
to.
now.
He could go to two teams, the 49ers or the Rams. That's another guy that they could just put in there for the league minimum because the Jets are paying him.
You know what? This is such an interesting kind of conversation because this year, I cannot remember a year where we have been as devoid of talent when it comes to the quarterback position in terms of free agency and in terms of the draft. I do not buy into Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, or insert third quarterback here, whether it's Jackson Dart or Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
I think this is as weak a quarterback class as we've had. Now, the Kenny Pickett year, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, obviously bad. But we saw some quarterbacks move independently in free agency and by trade that year, which made it interesting. There's no tier one quarterbacks or tier two quarterbacks that are essentially a free agent. That's number one. You look at this class. Is there a quarterback in this draft that you would be excited about if you're the Giants, the Raiders, anybody picking Tennessee? Where you'd be like, that's my guy. That guy is going to lead us to the promised land.
Not that I know of.
Not that.
I just don't believe Shedeur
Quarterback
Sanders or
wise,
Cam Ward are that guy.
Neither do I.
I could be wrong. I've been wrong a million times before.
We all
And if
have.
I am, I'd apologize and say, I'm sorry I was wrong. But again, I think they could be really good players perhaps. I just don't know if they're going to compete. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is competing in a league with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Bo Nix. I think he's the fourth best quarterback. And I always say, coaching quarterback, show me any NFL game, 16 games a weekend. Give me the game. Tell me who the quarterback and coach are, and I'll tell you who's going to win the game 90% of the time.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Yeah,
You're right.
I would agree.
Now, if Stafford goes to, let's say, the Steelers haven't had a losing season since Mike Tomlin took over.
Right.
They haven't had many in their entire since the 70s. They haven't had many losing seasons. If he goes there, that's a team that made the playoffs with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Matthew Stafford in Pittsburgh, he elevates that team. Mm-hmm. He does. He elevates any of these teams that are on this board. And the Raiders, he elevates them. They got Brock Bowers. They're going to have more draft picks.
The only problem as with Pittsburgh and the Giants and Cleveland is what?
Running.
I don't know.
They all play outside in cold weather. And we saw Stafford in Philadelphia in the snow. Stafford does not traditionally play well in cold weather outside. I'm not saying that's
a good argument. I mean, he's always playing domes, every team.
I don't know, man. I think if anybody can do it, it's him. Let's face it.
I agree.
They gave the Rams, they gave the Eagles their best fight. Did they not? They should have won that game.
Yeah,
they should have won that game. They would have been the Super Bowl champions this year. I'm telling you right now, they would have won the Super Bowl had they beaten the Eagles, because they would have beat Washington and they would have beat the Chiefs again like they did a few years back in the Super Bowl.
Let's continue this quarterback conversation, because we saw this on X from our friends from the Detroit Times, who suggested that the Detroit Lions should consider Justin Fields as a backup quarterback.
AZ Sports, Mike Payton. Good job.
There you go. Great job. The Lions may be the very best spot for Justin Fields to get his career on track, and why. It's an intriguing article, and I will say this. One thing about this to me highlights again how bad the pick of Hendon Hooker actually is.
I was just about to say, what happened with that? I'm confused.
I don't know either, because Hendon Hooker would have been, without the injury heading into the draft, would have been a first-round pick, and that's not even debatable. He's a first-round talent, not even debatable. Yep. The fact that they have had him now for a couple of years, and this year injury-free, and this wasn't a game in the first month of the season. This was after a season's worth of install.
Yeah. In other words, he knows the offense.
A season worth of practice.
Right.
Reps every week in practice. The fact that you signed Teddy Bridgewater.
Out of a high school coach.
Right off the field. And then actually when it came down time to it, you put Bridgewater in the game.
In the playoffs.
Highlights to me that they know what they've got.
Hooker was emergency quarterback that year.
Hendon Hooker. Now,
emergency.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I absolutely agree with the pick of Hendon Hooker in the third round. I thought it was a brilliant pick at the time. It seems like it hasn't worked out. And you know what? I'd still make that pick 10 times out of 10 and twice on Sunday. I absolutely would. But this is the perfect year now to cash in on the Hendon Hooker pick because of the weak quarterback class in free agency, because of the weak quarterback class in the draft. This would have been the absolute prime year to capitalize on that pick of Hendon Hooker and trade him to a team that could make him essentially a franchise quarterback. He clearly is not that, and he clearly may not even be the backup quarterback for this team in 2025.
Right.
Don't you think they damaged him a little by what they did in the playoffs?
Yeah, they would have to.
I mean, they damaged him because teams know. And if you're making this kid your bench warmer, your emergency quarterback in a playoff game, and your quarterback goes down with a concussion, because Goff was concussed. He was played concussed the rest of that game. To not bring your rookie third-round pick in, that's completely healthy. Completely healthy. To make him the emergency quarterback that day, that means the only way he would have played is if one of the quarterbacks, either him or Bridgewater, either Goff or Bridgewater, would have been ruled out for the game. That's the only way an emergency quarterback goes on. And the reason they even had that rule, if you remember when the Eagles lost all their quarterbacks against the the 49ers lost all their quarterbacks against the Eagles a couple of years ago. There was no emergency quarterback, and they were running backs out to play in a playoff game, an NFC championship game, if you remember that, because Brock Purdy went down and the guy behind him went down.
Yeah,
so that's why they made this rule. So by the Lions dissing Hendon Hooker, I don't think he has any trade value. What are you going to get for him? A 7th-round pick? That's all he's worth right now.
Right. I don't even know if he's – well, yeah, he's worth that.
Yeah.
He's worth a shot in the dark.
That's it.
Right.
A team like Tennessee would take him maybe and see what they got. I mean, that's what they did with Malik Willis. They actually drafted Malik Willis. And now they got to sit around with the mayonnaise guy, Will Levis. Both of them have failed.
I will say that would be highly disappointing if Hooker can't even be competent enough to be your backup.
Correct.
Because that's then just another area of expense. Even if it's $1 million, even if it's a $2 million backup, you've got this player on a rookie deal, a rookie contract, a third-round rookie contract.
Remember his age. That's the downside.
Well, yeah. And again, that's why you feel like this would be the year to trade him if he had that kind of capability, if he had that kind of stature to come in.
To go back to Justin Fields, I would roll the dice with him as my backup quarterback. I'd be happy with him as my backup quarterback.
Better than Hendon Hooker.
But again, Justin Fields, I'm sorry, you're not getting for $1 million, $2 million a year.
Right.
You're spending at least $5 million, $6 million a year on that backup quarterback.
Probably.
Probably. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's something so.
4 years, $18 million is the current deal he's under.
So he's $4 or $5 million a year, essentially $4.5 million a year. Will he get more than that? I don't know. Will he get about that? We'll see. But again, $4 million is linebacker help. Is another defensive line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more money to
Somebody
keep your
on
players.
offense. Absolutely.
You got a lot of players that you got to sign. A lot of free agents on this team, and you can only keep a certain amount of them.
Shedeur Sanders not participating in any drills.
Shocker.
At the combine. Yeah, I mean.
Shocker.
Neither is Ashton Junty.
But here's the difference. Ashton Junty, the running back from Boise State, is clearly the number one running back.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a franchise-type running back.
Seems like it.
People at least believe that. It's not even. It's Genty and a bunch of other people. That's what I think it is.
I agree.
For Sanders, I think there are a lot of questions about Shedeur Sanders. And not only that, maybe he doesn't want to be the number one quarterback taken, because then you've got the Raiders and the Giants picking, does Tennessee go draft Cam Ward?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Maybe you're trying to pick your spots a little bit too.
They're going to try to trade that pick to a sucker team that is desperate for a quarterback. And they are desperate for a quarterback as well, Tennessee. But we'll see who the smart team is here. Because like you said, there's really no one that's out there that's sticking out for you with that number one overall pick.
Just going to the quarterbacks, Matt Miller on ESPN,
he's very good.
Very good draft guy. He put out his top 50 players overall in the draft. Genty is, number 6 player on the big board. So he's clearly the top running back. You have to go all the way down to number 13 where Cam Ward is. That's the first quarterback listed. And Shedeur Sanders, 22 on this big board.
That's wild.
So, I mean, would you want to perform at the combine? Or is there only negative? Is it only bad?
It depends how athletic you are.
Right. I feel like it's only true.
Travis Hunter is going to show you what he's got. You know that. There's guys that run up the board. Look at Anthony Richardson. He was drafted because of the combine. Other than that, he wasn't a very good quarterback in college. But he was a freak athlete. So that's where this thing, it's almost 40 years this thing's almost been going on now. 1987 it started in Indy. And guess what? Teams are going to be able to start bidding on this combine pretty soon because they did that with the draft, and you could bet your bottom dollar that they're going to be doing it in the years coming. Indianapolis is fighting to keep it. I would not count on that right now. I will say this. Ashton Genty would be, if the Bears can get a guy like him, look out.
During just for craps and giggles,
that would be the Jahmyr Gibbs.
Do you know
for
who
Ben Johnson?
You know who the number 3 player on this big board is?
Who?
Will Johnson. Hadn't played all year.
And he didn't have a good year.
He didn't play.
He didn't play.
He didn't play. I'm curious to see what happens with Travis Hunter and Will Johnson. Because if you look in doing all these workouts in California and Florida and all this stuff, and you see like NFL front office people say that Will Johnson's footwork is by far more elite than Travis Hunter's. Just for cornerback position. But for Hunter, he's a guy that can play both ways, 3 ways, really. Pause.
Yeah.
I
don't know, man. I'm looking at the draft order right now. For the Bears,
it's a bad draft. This is a depth draft.
For the Bears to get him,
draft.
they're picking at number 10. I bet you they move up and they get that kid. They get Genty. I'm betting on the Bears moving up and getting him.
Be interesting. I think Ben Johnson saw what a running back could
bet.
do for an offense.
What a special running back can do for your offense.
Swift is not in the mix there anymore, is he?
He's there,
still the
but
running back.
I don't know if he'll be in the mix.
Well, I mean, he was with Ben Johnson for a year,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
Yeah, he could be a good backup, good secondary guy. He's like David Montgomery, but way less.
Isn't it something when there's no
Montgomery, we're not good.
like how much less interested you are in the draft when there's not a lot of quarterbacks?
And especially when we're picking at 28.
Well, I know the Lions, but even so, I mean, last year they were picking late in the draft.
Yeah, but we had
as well.
the draft.
We had the draft as well, but there were
Green Bay this
all
year.
those quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like like
QB porn.
QB porn. Thank you. I wanted to say it. You heard it. It was like quarterback porn. It was like this guy's going here. This
Well, we
guy's
love
going
the
here.
draft.
It was fantastic.
Everyone loves the draft. That
I'm a
used to be
draft
our
guy.
Super Bowl.
In fact, well, speaking of the Super Bowl, that's what the NFL is doing now. It's giving cities who would not get the Super Bowl, like Green Bay, like Detroit, like Kansas City,
Pittsburgh next year.
Pittsburgh. Teams that would not get the Super Bowl are getting the draft. I think it's a great way to get everybody involved.
And that's why the combine is going to be farmed out as well.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to take a break. We're going to change it up, do a little Tigers talk next. Our good friend Jason Beck expected to join us, MLB Tigers reporter. We'll get his take on everything happening in Lakeland. We'll do that next. But first, a message from Planet Fitness.
Everybody, Planet Fitness, it is a fitness that fits your budget. And Planet Fitness has over 50 Metro Detroit locations and thousands more throughout the world. You'll experience a squeaky clean gym with a judgment-free zone, and all you have to do is head to planetfitness.com to check out the nearest location near you for all the information on their benefits and their programs. And don't forget about the Black Card. You can upgrade to that as well over at planetfitness.com, where you get a judgment-free zone, and Planet Fitness is a fitness that fits your budget. We'll be right back.
No one gives away more cash and prizes than Woodward Sports. You don't believe us? Here's our latest $10,000 winner.
You guys posted, hey, if you guess all this stuff right, we'll give it's $10,000. I'm like, okay, well, why the hell not?
And the winning doesn't stop there. How about our Outkick Your Coverage winner?
Let's give it up for David Tully, everybody. David Tully. This guy's got a hot girl.
Bigger prizes, bigger giveaways, cash, merch, tickets, and more. All from the biggest sports network in Detroit. No one does it bigger and better than Woodward Sports. Make sure you're following, liking, subscribing on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube for your chances to share in the winning. From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app online or in club and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Head to woodwardsports.com and click on Shop. Get the latest in Detroit sports apparel and exclusive Woodward sports gear. Woodwardsports.com can get the whole team outfitted. Love the Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers? We got something for you, too. Shop online at woodwardsports.com.
Hey, gang, let me tell you about Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. We take the chore out of getting a haircut. Our talented stylist will deliver an industry-leading haircut, relaxing scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome. Hour number 2 of the program. Going to be joined by Jason Beck momentarily. MLB Tigers reporter Ryan Ermanni, Tom Mazaway.
Yes, sir.
Ricky Burns, Pete Spivak in the house. Braylon out today. He'll be back tomorrow.
Hi, how was your week?
I had a good week.
What'd you do? I thought you were in Florida.
No, I wish I was in Florida, man.
I texted you from Florida. I'm like, hey, how's the sun by you? I went for 3 days. The sun was great in Pompano by my sisters. And you told me, no, we went up north.
Yep, we went up
The
north.
opposite of Florida.
Kids had.
You're not kidding. That's the opposite.
You know, first of all, they had this winter break.
Yeah.
I never got a winter break.
Really?
I mean, we got President's Day off, probably.
Yeah, they used
You
to
had
call
the
it midwinter break.
Midwinter
That's
break. You
what I
get a
had.
midweek. You
Midweek
get a
break.
little bit
Yeah.
little bit of a break, but not a full week. These kids are never in school.
Never.
That's part of the problem.
Well, you still have the same amount of school days. You got to make it. You know, it's a state mandate.
Yeah.
You got to make it, whatever how many days it is.
And they've been getting out of those cold weather days this year too. My daughter was out for like 2
Oh
weeks
yeah,
because it was
we
cold.
never used to get off with the
Yeah, oh,
cold.
yeah, no,
now
that-
that's
that's
easy. Oh, Mom, it's cold this
that's
week.
cruel.
We're off.
Right, that's cruel.
Put another scarf on.
That's right. Guys, let's check in with our good friend
This
Jason.
guy's not cold.
No, he is not. Well, he might be cold in Florida. It's been pretty bad down there, I understand. Jason
Not
Beck,
that bad.
Jason, what's up?
Tigers reporter, MLB.com. One of my favorite guys.
What's up, Jay?
Love this guy. Jason Beck, how are you, my friend?
Good. It's actually kind of cool for spring training. It's like mid 60s and it's been raining all day.
And the game today against the Blue Jays canceled due to weather. Jason, what is
Big win against the Yanks. Come on.
Yeah,
man.
big win against it. Just since the time you've been down there, just give me 2 or 3 things that are top of mind for you since the time you've been down there and what you've seen so far.
2 or 3 things. The pitching has been fairly deep. Scooble. Jackson Jobe, especially with the curveball he's been working on, looks like he's ready to make a push for the rotation. Casey Mize looks like he at least in position to get that bounce that you usually see from guys in their second year back from Tommy John surgery. So the pitching's deeper there. I think the lineup is young. Now, having said that, we haven't seen the big guys in games yet, at least most of them. But you can kind of see the energy from the end of last season is carrying over. So we'll see how that offense, continues to develop. And the bullpen seems to have about 50 different guys who throw from 50 different arm angles who can be cobbled together and produce a bullpen.
Just back to the pitching for a second, and we saw Casey Mize yesterday looked really good. This is a former number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
Just if this guy can, as you mentioned, have that bounce in the second year after a Tommy John, what would that mean for this rotation if he could be that guy?
It would certainly deepen the rotation. Right now, I think realistically, you look at this rotation and it's Scooble and Flaherty and some guys with varying degrees of question marks. I think, Reese Olson certainly has shown at times that he can be a very effective starter, but he's still relatively young. So we're still waiting to kind of see what the next step is for him. Mize obviously has been up and down. Job, for all his talent, is still a rookie, and rookies tend to have ups and downs. And when we saw Job against major league competition last September and into October, you saw good pitches, but you didn't necessarily see wipeout, strikeout stuff. So I think there's still a mystery whether he can get those high strikeout rates against big league hitters that we saw on his way up the system right up until, double A, triple A. So, having those guys there would be big. I think it would lessen the waiting game on Alex Cobb as we wait and see him trying to recover from the hip injury. I think it would lessen the need to reach into the depth in terms of waiting to see whether Ty Madden can be a starter or if he fits better as reliever, what Brant Herter's role ultimately is, and whether Troy Melton gets pushed up the system a little bit. So, realistically, staffs need more than 5 guys to be ready over the course of a season, just the way these rotations work now. But I think, too, if you are going to contend in the AL Central, I think you can't be quite so top heavy in rotation. You need depth there. And having Mize healthy, able to work effectively and fairly deep in the games makes this a lot better. And it lessens the pressure on Skubal and Flaherty to be lights out every time out.
Jason, keeping it on the pitching, 2 questions. Kenta Maeda, I hear, is kind of almost reinventing himself, from what I understand, from what I've read. And what made Scott Harris go to Alex Cobb instead of who we all wanted, all Tiger fans wanted, Justin Verlander, for the same money? What's your idea on that?
Well, I think take the Cobb question first. Part of that was the timing. They signed Cobb fairly early in the process. Kind of like what they did with Maeda the previous offseason, and really with Flaherty. Flaherty, I believe, not this time around, but the previous time was like a mid to early December signing. They went into that market fairly early rather than waiting it out. Hindsight being 2020, would they have waited it out? It's an interesting question. It's hard to look at the timing of some of these segments. In previous off seasons, that starting pitching market tended to move fairly fast, and there were signs early on this offseason that it would move quicker. And then we ended up seeing guys like Verlander and Scherzer, on the market fairly late. You could have gotten them for the same rate, obviously, but I don't think they realized that at the time. Was it a misjudgment, or was it just a best strategy based on how markets like this have moved previously? So, there's kind of a hindsight being 2020 factor there. As far as Maeda, he looks like somebody who has spent a bigger part of his offseason working out and building up his arm. Part of it is doing more bullpen sessions earlier before he got to spring training, rather than using spring training to build up his arms like guys would do in the 90s and 2000s. Part of it too, from what he says, is making some adjustments to move better and to get his stuff, looking a little bit more effective. The velocity is huge for him. It's not the be all end all. He still has to have an effective splitter, but if you have the fastball sitting comfortably in the 90s, as opposed to struggling to touch 90 like he was for large portions of last year, that more powerful fastball sets up that splitter more effectively. It gives you a little bit more of a change of speeds, and it gives you a little bit more deception there. And that's what Maeda needs to make that more effective. And honestly, it's to kind of branch off of that, it's kind of what makes Mize a little fascinating too, because he is talking about making the splitter a bigger part of his arsenal again. But it's a harder splitter. But if he's throwing that fastball harder, there's still that velocity difference.
All right, let's keep it with the Scott Harris for a second. How hurtful to this Tigers team was the loss of getting an Alex Bregman here? I mean, he's with Boston, had a home run already yesterday. The guy's he's gonna hit real well in Boston. And the reason, what is your take on the whole Bregman? Did he take Boston because he could hit better there? What's wrong with Comerica Park all of a sudden?
Well, I mean, this is kind of an age-old thing, really, ever since the ballpark opened, is that it is difficult to convince a certain segment of hitters to come to Comerica if they have alternatives. And plus Bregman does not have a good history of hitting at Comerica Park. Now, you can argue that some of that is the way the Tigers have pitched him compared to how he has done at other ballparks. They have pitched him fairly effectively. It can be tough on right-handed hitters who tend to hit for power and who tend to hit a lot of fly balls, as Bregman has in recent years. He has gotten more fly ball happy and a little bit less on the line drives. But I think, as we saw from Matt Vierling, there are areas of left field that right-handed pull hitters can hit the ball and find home runs. It seemed like Vierling hit about a dozen home runs to like the same specific area of Comerica Park, right around that bullpen dugout area. So it can be done, but it's tougher to sell that to guys on the open market than it is to sell that to younger hitters who you've either traded for or who you have developed through the system. By all accounts, Bregman wanted to go to Boston. It is the team that drafted him out of, before the Astros did, a couple years beforehand. It's a team that has had appeal to him. This is a ballpark where he has hit well. And once they stepped up with an offer, he pivoted pretty quickly from that Alex Bregman is going to hold out for 6 or 7 years to Alex Bregman is going to take 3 years with big salaries and opt-outs after every year. And the report from from at least one of the TV reporters in Houston was that he wanted to go to Boston. It hurts, but I think it also is a reminder of the importance of the Tigers, building from within, certainly offensively, because this has been a challenge for them for years. I'm old enough on this beat to remember when they tried going after Miguel Tejada and Vladimir Guerrero Sr., and their agents wouldn't take their calls, not just because the team was coming off 119 losses, but because the ballpark was big.
Right.
And that was the offseason when they ended up going after Pudge. And then a year later, they were looking at Adrian Beltre and Steve Finley, and they ended up pivoting to Magglio Ordonez coming off the difficult knee surgery. It's just, unless you're a guy who is really known for slashing doubles, and Bregman has not been known for that in recent years, unless you can use those gaps, it's a tough appeal for power hitters.
Well, listen, man, in all your years there, is there a weaker first and third base position that the Tigers are putting out there as far as hitting? You can't possibly try to sell me as a Tigers fan that Jace Young is going to play third and Colt Keith is going to play first. When I grew up, the first and third basemen were hitting 35 home runs apiece, and they played good defense. What can they do to pivot now? They pivoted to Pudge and Magglio. Where can they pivot now?
Well, the free agent market is not there to pivot. The free agent market's pretty barren. The trade market, it would be one thing if Nolan Arenado was more open to a move to Detroit, but every indication we've gotten all offseason is that Nolan has certain places you'd be willing to go to. Boston reportedly near or at the top of the list. Detroit being not on that list. Um, he says it's not so much a matter of the ballpark necessarily with him, so much as it's a matter of now he has a family. He's trying to figure out the best places it's most comfortable for him and his family, and apparently Detroit's not there. Um, I think at this point, unless you wanted to overpay in a trade, it is worth seeing what you have in Jace Young. He has shown the ability to hit on his way up the farm system. He did not hit in a small sample size down the stretch last year while he was dealing with a wrist injury that eventually required surgery. I am not one to discount Jace Young. For one thing, he ever since college, but especially ever since the Tigers drafted him, has really fed off of doubters and has really wanted to try to prove people wrong when anywhere from scouts or anybody has brought up questions about him. When I went up to him to talk to him in spring training, he was very well aware that he had fallen off of top 100 prospect lists, and he pointed that out. When it was brought up that he did not necessarily show a whole lot of speed, when the Tigers were running the bases last year, he went to AJ Hinch and said he's faster now, and he went out and legged out 2 doubles yesterday against the Yankees. I have a sneaking suspicion that he's up for the challenge of proving himself this time, and I think he's making a point to prove that he's not necessarily just the fallback from Bregman, that he believes that he can prove himself to be a long-term answer at third base, defensively and offensively. And honestly, that's the kind of edge that I think the Tigers can use. It's a little bit of Ian Kinsler type edge. Honestly, it's a little bit of Bregman type edge, but without the experience. That doesn't mean he's going to be the type of player that Bregman is, but I think we're underestimating what Jace Young can do based on the track record on his way up. And I think given the situation right now, it's worth giving a look and figuring out what you have in him.
I hope you're right.
At first
Jason.
base, it's kind of a transition period right now. They moved Colt Keith to first to make room for Gleyber Torres at second. So, we're going to find out what you have in Colt Keith. Now, Colt Keith showed a lot of promise offensively as the year went on for a second baseman. But when you move to first base, there's higher offensive standards, and we're going to see how Colt responds to that pressure. He is bigger right now. He looks like a guy who has bulked up and might be trying to put a little bit more power in his swing. We'll see how that goes here once we get into the season. He's, we haven't really seen much yet, but it's they're going to make a go of it this year, and then with Gleyber Torres on a 1-year contract, they can pivot at season's end, kind of like what they can do at third.
Talking to Jason Beck, Tigers reporter, MLB.com. You mentioned Colt Keith, 23 years old. Riley Green, 24 years old. Parker Meadows, 25 years old. That player to me, Parker Meadows, I am so excited to watch him play baseball this year. He was as electric as there was a player for me towards the last 2 months. And he, to me, is an absolute all-star type player. What do you think the jump is going to be, just taking that next step for Parker Meadows this year? What do we expect out of him?
I think the jump is going to, depend on, can you make more consistent contact, which, he showed signs of down the stretch last year, and can he do more things to put his athleticism in play offensively? He has loads of speed, and he accelerates very well for somebody his size. I don't think we saw that utilized as much as he could have utilized that last year. Part of that involves getting on base and then, having more opportunities to steal bases and go first to third, things like that. Part of that is using that speed to get on base in the first place, whether through ground balls, through bunts. We've seen him try more bunting from time to time. There is loads of talent there. Um, you hope he doesn't get too power happy after flashing, some really nice power down the stretch last year. I don't think he will. I think he's aware of where his strengths are and not trying to play too much into the weaknesses. He's in a good place, and I think it's going to be interesting to watch how he responds here with a chance to really play a very prominent role in the lineup.
Jason, what do we expect out of Spencer Torkelson this year? What's his camp looking like down there? A week or two in?
Oh boy, hard to tell. He's kind of in that. It's a weird intersection for him because, like, usually when teams make a change, like Detroit did at first base, the guy who's being changed out is moved on, either through trade or through cutting ties or whatever. The Tigers haven't done that, and they don't seem ready to. And at the same time, without Alex Bregman or any other sort of veteran right-handed hitter signing, there's an opportunity for Torque to still play a role here because he bats right-handed, because he has shown signs from time to time of being able to do damage against left-handed pitching. So if he can have a good camp, there can be a roster spot for him, even though he's fairly limited positionally. He can platoon at DH and first base, and I think the Tigers would give that a go. But he's got to hit in spring training, and that's not something he has done a ton of over the years. This hasn't usually been a good setting for him to do that. So we'll see how he handles that. He believes in some of the work he put on his swing. Didn't really see a ton of it in the live BPs, but that's a hard judge. I think you really have to get into the game action with Torque and see how he handles different styles of pitching to kind of figure out what his fit might be on this team.
Hi, Jason. This is Pete Spivak. Thank you again for joining us today on Woodward Sports. Going back to spring training real quick, I would like to bring up a graphic for you, if I may, regarding the automated balls and strike system, which is being used right now in Major League Baseball in the spring training coming up. I have like 5 or 6 questions. I'm obviously not going to ask them all to you, Jason, but I basically, we had Roger Castillo of Tigers ML report on with us last Friday. Now, he covers obviously a lot more minor league baseball than you do for Major League Baseball, so he's had a lot more experience with the ABS. He praised it. He seems to think that it works. What is your opinion on the automated balls and strike system coming up in spring training? I did not see the first 2 Tigers games this past weekend. I don't know if they used it or not, but I was curious as to what your opinion is, and what do players on both sides of the ball, the pitchers and the batters, think of this new system?
Well, with the Tigers, I think they're in a different position with this system than other clubs because it's such a young team that a lot of these guys have dealt with it on their way up the system. This is, pretty much the same system that has been used in AAA over the last couple seasons. So, a lot of these guys came across it on either on their way up or during rehab assignments. So, it's not that big of an adjustment for most of this team. Even Tarek Skubal dealt with it during his rehab assignment in 2023 when he was coming back from the flexor tendon surgery. So, they seem to be, largely supportive of it. Could there be some small tweaks here and there? Sure. But, I think the fact that it's not all that foreign to them lets them, see it a little bit more for what it is and knowing the effects and frankly, knowing the strategy that goes into it and how you try to save some of your challenges for later in the game, when they could make the bigger difference. So there, there's a little bit of a feeling out period there, but I think also, when it was instilled at the AAA level, like the Mudhens had ground rules on, how and when to appeal and who could appeal. So it wasn't necessarily just instinctive, like, a guy doesn't like a pitch and then he passes. We saw some instinctive appealing yesterday against the Yankees. I'm not sure how much more we'll see of that, but I think if this type of system gets into games that count, you will see a little bit more strategy on how these appeals get used. I think it accomplishes its purpose, which is to try to address some of the egregious misses that happen over the course of a game, because umpires aren't going to be perfect. No matter what, it's not fair to expect that. The problem is that when those imperfections happen in big situations, it hurts, and if you feel like you have the technology to potentially address that without fully automating the game and taking the umpire out of it completely, I think this is kind of a middle ground, and you're trying to feel it out and see what works in terms of introducing this into the major league game, similar to what other sports have done without making the game reliant on technology.
Last one, Jason. Just give me your honest opinion. What are the odds on the Tigers on Tarek Skubal finishing his career here with Detroit?
It's always hard for me to tell with pitchers. I got to be honest. Right now, it doesn't look great. But the thing with pitchers, and you've seen this over the years, it's always, you're always one injury away from things vastly changing with guys. And this is not to say like Tarek Skubal is at risk for an injury. It's the nature of pitching. This happens. I think a few years ago, we were thinking the same thing about Shane Bieber in Cleveland. Like, he was as good as gone once he hit the open market. And then things changed with him. And then he ended up signing I think the 2-year deal that he signed this offseason. These things happen. There's just so much uncertainty with the nature of pitching, no matter how hard these pitchers try to be prepared. And for some of those same reasons, it can become difficult for pitchers and teams to find a middle ground on contract extensions. It's a fascinating case, especially coming off of the year that Skubal had. We just don't know what the next 18 to 24 months are going to look like. So many things can happen, both with the team and with Skubal. It's so hard to predict. I wouldn't want to put chances on it because
it's a no.
That gets into measuring injury risk, and I don't think that's fair to a guy like Skubal.
I know.
Jason, we cannot thank you enough for your time today and talking a little Tigers with us. We really enjoy your stuff, and we invite everybody to look for you, MLB.com, Tigers Talk. Thanks so much, my friend. We appreciate it. Talk to you again soon.
Thanks, guys. Always good talking baseball with you.
See you, buddy.
Got it.
Enjoy the weather.
Absolutely. Hey, it's 60. It's 40 here, right?
Feels like 60.
I walked out today with no coat.
Really?
No coat.
I love Jason Beck. To me, seriously, is one of the great beat reporters.
Yeah, he cuts
that we
right.
have
He
in our
tells you
city.
like it is.
Like, I absolutely mean that with everything.
Let me translate what he just said about Tarek Skubal. He's gone.
I don't know if he said that.
He did. Scott Boras is bad.
Yeah.
He's a bad dude.
Yeah.
He is.
He's a bad seed?
He's a bad seed. Worst kind of seed I've ever seen.
All right. Well, very good.
Bad dude.
Very good.
Keep ruining the game.
All right. Good stuff.
All
All right.
right.
We're going to take a break. We'll go around the NFL. We'll do that next. Plus, Steve Smith Sr. reacts. To the viral video that has
Can we use
been,
that video?
Huh?
Can we play that video?
I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know.
But first, a message from Dr. Pierce.
All right, guys, do not miss our injury experts, Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. He joins us every Tuesday on Big D Energy. That's tomorrow. And he joins us on Thursdays right here on this here show. He'll here to keep you in the game, feeling at your best. And, of course, trust the guy at DMAC and Braylon Trust. He's got you covered, guys. It's MichiganSportsandSpine.com, 248-426-9944.
Yeah, and I know you're tired of wearing the same old Detroit sports merch. It's time for you to upgrade your wardrobe, at least when it comes to merch. Shop.woodwardsports.com. Hats, tees, hoodies, whatever you need, they got you guaranteed to turn heads. Everyone's going to see what you got on, and they're going to want it. They're going to ask you where you got it. All you have to do is tell them to go to shop.woodwardsports.com. Good prices, new designs. Go get them right now before all the seasons get going for the summertime, and we'll be right back.
No one gives away more cash and prizes than Woodward Sports. You don't believe us? Here's our latest $10,000 winner.
You know, you guys posted, hey, if you guess all this stuff right, we'll give it's $10,000. I'm like, okay, well, why the hell not?
And the winning doesn't stop there. How about our Outkick Your Coverage winner?
I think you won. David Tully, everybody. David Tully. This guy's got a hot girl.
Bigger prizes, bigger giveaways, cash, merch, tickets, and more. All from the biggest sports network in Detroit. No one does it bigger and better than Woodward Sports. Make sure you're following, liking, subscribing on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube for your chances to share in the winning. From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app online or in club and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Hey gang, need a new car? We've got you covered. Our friends at Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC sign and drive sale. Get a 2024 Envision, only $239 per month. What about a 2025 Sierra Crew Cab Elevation, $249 per month? Don't forget about the 2025 Hummer EV SUV, $789 per month. But get this, 0 security deposit, 0 do-it signing, 0 first month payment, 0 acquisition fee. Get to Les Stanford today and check out their massive inventory at the sign and drive sale. There's a QR code as well above my head that you can click and check out that massive inventory. LesStanford.com, LesStanford.com. Together, let's drive. Put a bow on the Tigers conversation.
I had so many more things to ask.
I know. I
just didn't want to keep them.
I know. Yeah. It's like you feel like you're
imposing right.
When you go so long with a guest. But I, like you, Maz, there was so much I wanted to talk about, and we didn't even mention Riley Green. What a year this is for him. And
by the way, Parker Meadows he tweaked his forearm the other day. They said it's not a big deal, but I don't know, man. Right. I mean, you expect to trot that team out again, and you expect all these guys, Trey Sweeney, Colt Keith, Parker Meadows,
Jace
all these
Jace
Young. You expect these guys to get you to the playoffs like that?
Well, that's where that's where the Pistons have done a really nice job. They have mixed in these veterans with their younger players, and they have found some success with
Yes.
that. So we'll see if the Tigers. I don't think they're done yet in player acquisition.
I hope you're right.
I just don't think they are. I don't think.
I don't want them to start with this way and then start and be, before you know it, 10 games under 500.
No, I think
and then
be,
before
their
the
pitching
season,
alone will keep them in games. They'll be like
that's another thing.
20
You expect all these relievers to come in and do what they did last year?
They'll be like 18 and 16, 16
right.
and 18, somewhere around there. Tom Mazaway, the chat has asked for it. So before we go any further, we must talk a little Michigan State. Okay?
That was a hell of a game until like the 10-minute mark of the second half.
Yeah. The Michigan loses to Michigan State at home, by the way.
First home loss.
I don't think they scored a point in the final 4.5 minutes of the game.
They got beat up.
And then, leave it to me to have some fun on Twitter, on the old X.
Yeah.
Because I really believe this, okay? And this might be whatever, but I firmly don't care. And I truly mean that. I didn't lose 1 second of sleep.
Right.
And honestly, if they had won the game, I'm not sure I would have cared either. Just because it's Michigan State and, you got all that. I would have enjoyed it for that reason alone. But regular season college basketball means nothing. They will finish in the top 4 of the Big Ten, barring some disaster. They will have a chance if conference championships still mean something to you, and I guess they do a little bit, not much. Conference championships in basketball are very meaningless. All people care about is Final Fours and national championships. When somebody talks college basketball, and they talk whether it's a coach, Roy Williams, or Mike Krzyzewski, or Bob Knight, or Tom Izzo, or John Beilein, or Jay Wright. What do they talk about?
Final Fours.
How many Final Fours? How many national championships? Nobody says, Bill Self has 28 Big 12 championships.
Right.
Nobody cares.
Yesterday at the Pistons game, the coach for the Hawks, he just came up from college. That was the first thing they said is how many Final Fours he had.
Yeah.
First thing he said.
Nobody.
First
How many conference championships does Bill Self have in the Big 12?
No one cares.
Nobody gives a damn.
His agent, that's it.
Nobody gives a damn.
Yep.
So forgive me if I don't care that Michigan lost. Now, if Michigan plays in a Sweet 16 matchup against Michigan State, if they play...
I don't think they match up good against Sparties.
Whatever. I don't even care. It's all about the Final Four and a national championship. And that's what this sport has become. And, oh, by the way, ask Ohio State if a conference championship matters in football.
True. Yeah. Right.
Not anymore, it don't.
That's where we are. College football is going down that road that college basketball is. Just get in the tournament.
Get the dance.
Now, I was a big proponent of college football expansion, but it feels like now that it really doesn't matter if you win the Big Ten championship.
No, it's nice. It's a nice thing that you could say, add it to your school's resume.
Yeah,
we won this many, but now all that matters is a championship, the ship as they call it.
Get in the tournament,
right?
And if you're an Ohio State fan, would you rather beat Michigan, win the Big Ten championship, or win the national championship?
National championship.
Right. Let me say this about these two teams.
If you're Tom Izzo, if you're Michigan State, would you rather win the Big Ten championship or make it to another Final Four?
National.
Answer that question.
Final Four.
You'd rather make it to a Final Four. And that's where I am with Michigan. It's the only thing I care about. Make it to a Final Four, which is so dumb, by the way, because you just got to win 4 games, right?
Yeah.
So I don't even know why that's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
It is a big deal, but I don't know why it is. You go
March Madness, man.
Yeah, it's win or go home. Nothing's better than win or go home.
Next week's
sports.
March Madness already.
Fine. Final Four, national championship. Michigan, and I do think Michigan can make it to a Final Four, and that's what I care about.
I believe Michigan can make it to a Sweet 16. I believe Michigan State is a Final Four team. I've watched them a lot this year. Been to a couple of games at the Breslin. Tom Izzo has got a hell of a team. Jace Richardson is a stud. he's got a few studs on that team.
Yeah.
He's got guys that could already go to the NBA. This team is loaded. Now, Michigan, let's give him credit. Dusty May rebuilt this team. He brought Vlad Golan over from FAU, and those two guys have put this team together. And I'll tell you what, man, they are very impressive. Very impressive. And they're packing the Chrysler Center. It's great to see, because I was at a game last year where there was maybe like 5,000 people at the game, and it was awful. They were fodder last year, and now they're back on the map. It's great. Guy got an extension already because Indiana was already putting their grips on him. They wanted him. Mike Woodson won a game yesterday, by the way. I won't tell you about that. But Indiana's on the bubble. But Michigan State are going to the dance. Michigan State is a Final Four team. Michigan, with the right plays, with the right teams that they play, can get there as well.
So did you hear Rick Pitino? He was on Barstool over the
St.
weekend.
John's is number 7 in the country.
St. John's is my
Go Johnnies.
St. John's is my second favorite team, only behind Michigan. But Rick Pitino explained this perfectly, and I saw somebody in there. Oh, Dusty May, year 1 at Michigan. You're expecting a Final Four. The answer is yes, and I'll tell you why. And Rick Pitino said it perfectly. It was an interview with Barstool Sports, and he said, college basketball is now like the Euro League, like they play in Europe. It is very rare that you sign a player to longer than a 1-year deal in the Euro League. You very rarely have players for 2 years even. So college basketball has become a series of 1-year deals. Every year is different than the year prior. So that's why it doesn't matter how long Dusty May has been at Michigan or how long Tom Izzo has been at Michigan State. It could be 1 year. It could be 25 years. Everybody's on the same playing field in college basketball these days. So what he was saying was, this year, Rick Pitino at St. John's, a top 10 team in the country, has not and will not recruit a high school basketball player.
Interesting.
There are 0 high school basketball players in the country that Rick Pitino and St. John's are recruiting. They and so the guys, I forgot who the host was, but he said if a 5-star basketball player in high school says he'd like to play for you at St. John's, would you take him? And he said, no, it's just not for us, because you cannot win this game with high school kids any longer. You cannot win big with high school kids any longer. And remember, the Kentucky, who's the coach that left for Arkansas? Calipari, John Calipari.
The one and dones.
One and done.
Yeah, right. They never won.
They never won, but he tried it. Pitino says you cannot win with high school players any longer. You have to go for the transfers, and that's who will play at St. John's next year.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because I've always said it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool when you lose 20 games.
And now you're winning
and
20
now you're
games.
Chance to go to the Final Four.
NIL, the thing I despise the most about it is the power of the high school person. A high school kid with power makes me uneasy. I just don't like it. I don't think it's right. And now I love what Rick Pitino's doing. And he's up there in our age, man. He is one of those guys that we always say there aren't many Izzos or Rick Pitinos anymore, or Bill Selfs anymore. And by the way, MSU moved up to number 8 in the top 25. Michigan down to number 15. You see Auburn, Duke, Florida, Houston, and Tennessee 1 through 5. I love what Rick Pitino's doing. They're packing the garden to see St. John's.
I want to say this because Shane M is going crazy in the chat, and it's fine. Shane says, I get that you're Michigan fans, but try to be objective one time in your life. I think that is the most objective college basketball take that you could possibly have.
Right.
Does it matter to you if you win a Big Ten conference championship as long as you win a national championship, if you get to the Final Four? And that's what these two teams will be playing for. If you get that along the way, it's nice. But again, could you tell me how many Big 10 or Big 12 championships Bill Self has?
All right.
And do you care?
Don't care.
Do Kansas fans care how many conference championships he has?
Or
Look at Dan Hurley, what he's doing at UConn. Now, UConn is struggling in the last month.
Yeah,
they are struggling. Guess what? He makes the big dance. They'll be right there at the end again.
Yeah.
That's
No
all
doubt.
he cares about.
They're not even ranked, UConn. This
They're not
year.
even ranked.
But I bet you somehow he'll
yeah.
get him over there.
I just wanted to touch on Michigan State. There you go.
It was a fun game.
It was a fun game.
And I love Jason Benetti calling it. Bill Raftery.
Oh, it's Raftery. Onions!
Raftery did 3 games this weekend in 3 different
Yeah.
time zones.
Including the Bill Walton game.
I
And he's
love.
like 80 years old.
I
too.
love him.
Yeah,
he
he's
does not
great.
get old.
He's great.
He did great
God
yesterday
bless
with the wearing the Bill Walton tie-dye.
Yeah.
Very, very funny
That's
at the
great.
UCLA
That's
game.
right.
Guys, we're going to take a break. Last break. We'll come back, go around the NFL. One team is trying to ban the tush push. Tell
I know
you
who it
that
is.
What? But first, a message from Soroki.
All right, Soroki's crispy chicken and pizza. Limited time offer, guys, continuing throughout the season. It's Soroki's debuting their fresh signature flavored wings this season. Grab your friends, order a New York style pizza, get some wings for all the games, especially March Madness coming up, guys. Try one of 7 different flavors. You want to try them out at Sorokis.com.
Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon, and Ermanni and Edwards with Maz Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsandSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app online or in club and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
Head to WoodwardSports.com and click on Shop. Get the latest in Detroit sports apparel and exclusive Woodward Sports gear. WoodwardSports.com can get the whole team outfitted. Love the Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers? We got something for you, too. Shop online at WoodwardSports.com.
Hey, welcome back. Final segment of the show. I did want to get this because it's a piece of news, and I'm actually conflicted as to how I feel about it.
I'm not.
The Packers have, done one of those. What do you call file
A grievance.
like
they
file
put in
grievance,
a
but file
rule
like
change.
A rule change that they want the tush push banned.
Why?
Packers president Mark Murphy wants the tush push.
Let me
play
zoom in
banned
on
the
that for you,
NFL.
my
We'll
friend.
see if it gets a vote. We'll see how it votes.
Warren Sharp was the first guy to identify the Packers team. Everyone was saying it was an unnamed team.
Yeah.
I was trying to guess who it was, and it's fun that it was an in-conference team.
Yeah.
And
So-
ironic. The Packers. No.
Yeah, no, but I don't know. I feel like, okay, stop it. Like if you the Bills ran it 3 times and were not successful.
Right.
In a playoff game against
Yeah.
Kansas City. So if something is working so much, is that your fault or is that the Eagles' fault?
Right.
Right.
I agree. I think it's on the
It's
defense.
just a play. Like, it's a legal play. I don't understand why you be mad at a legal play. That's just literally the quarterback just running forward. There's no, or I guess players are pushing them, but who cares? It's football.
Doesn't football, stem down from a type of rugby, which I think the tush push play resembles a rugby style, kind of a play.
The
And I just
scrum.
a scrum,
to me,
exactly.
To me, it looks like an illegal play. It
Really?
just does. There's a lot of movement, and the Eagles, of course, aren't snapping the ball for about 5 to 7 seconds, and guys are trying to move it. It's not good Guys get their backs broke. I mean, Jason Kelsey probably left the damn game because he probably couldn't take another year of being in the middle. Lane Johnson has got herniated discs in his back. He's the center. He's got herniated discs in his back. The center takes the brunt of that. I think it's a bad play. They worry about concussions and stuff like that. I think it's a concussion waiting to happen. I think it should be outlawed. I do. It's not rugby, guys. It's the NFL. It's football. Run the ball. Get under the center. Snap the ball. Either run it yourself or hand it off. It's football. It's not rugby.
So
Get rid of it.
What's the difference to you if they just run it up the? I guess what part do you not like? The actual pushing?
I don't like that they're down. Almost. You have to get your head down under the guy's knees. So then the other team, the defensive team, is trying to get set. 5 out of 10 times at least, they're getting thrown a flag at them for illegal move. Offsides, encroachment, because they're trying to get down as low as possible. It's just, I don't think it's a fair deal. I don't like it, and I despise the onside kick rule too.
Well, that's
crazy.
Despise it.
It seems like the kickoff rule is going to change. There's a groundswell of support for that, where the
kicker's going to kick from his own 30 now instead of the 35. And if you kick it in the end zone and don't return it,
right?
It's going to the 35-yard line.
Right.
So they're going to move the
20.
kicker back. They're going to move the kicker back, and if you don't return it, in other words, if you do what Jake Bates does and just kick it out of the end zone, that team's getting it on the 35-yard line.
Which, I mean, really, 30 yards, 25 yards, you're in field goal range.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this day and age, if you get it at the 40-yard line, I
know they give you all kind of stats. They got more returns. They got this. I think it's garbage.
It's terrible.
Doesn't that take away from the
it.
players' stats too? I mean, now you're 10 yards less to gain, 10 yards less stats to accumulate under your own personal stats.
And the thing about it is, you cannot do an onside kick the way you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to do it anytime you want to do it. Yeah. Not only if you're down in the fourth
and you
quarter
gotta tell them,
and trailing. And tell the team.
Yeah, why would you tell the other team what play you're about to run? That's just counterproductive.
What are you doing?
You have to because of the setup of the onside kick.
Right, that's what I mean. It's got to be one setup.
I would almost rather see like they do in the UFL, which, by the way, am I the only person excited for the UFL this year?
Oh,
yes.
There you go.
Like, I might be,
Panthers.
but I
should get a season ticket.
Well, it's you go down
Kelly
there
Rowe,
for $20.
your coworker's excited.
Absolutely. I am truly excited for the Michigan Panthers. I love that stuff. And
I love it too.
I think that league is going to grow and grow and grow and be something. We can save that for another day.
Did you hear what Mike Nolan said? He's the head coach of the Panthers. He's like, we open on opening day of the Tigers. He wants the Tiger fans to come on over to Ford Field when they're done and they're all liquored up. Come on over to Ford Field, and we'll make a real home field advantage for the Panthers.
That'd be great.
Those guys were playing in front of empty stadiums.
That's not a bad idea.
I'd love to see people come over there and watch some games.
That would be great. Just the one part about why I mentioned the UFL, I would love to see the NFL adopt a 4th and 15 rule. For
I'm not sure what that is.
Like basically an onside kick, you can have one play at your 20, at your own 20-yard line, like a 4th and 15 type situation.
Oh wow!
And you go for it. If you get the first down, you keep the ball.
I do like that.
Instead of that kick.
Yeah, I'd want the regular kick first of all.
Right.
If I can't have that, I'd like that.
Does that junk up the game a little bit?
Well, if you don't make it, the team's getting the ball inside the 40-yard line, right? Inside the 30-yard line.
Yep.
If you don't make it. I like it.
Yep.
I'm up for different things, but not the tush push.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
No doubt. I love the chat today. Chat's fired up. Chat does not like my who's this guy here? Let's see the chat.
Well, Shane is still killing us.
What's Shane's problem?
What
does he want me to say?
He wants us to keep talking about the Michigan.
So Jesse Adams says, Ryan, you pumped your chest for that Wolverine Big Ten title the year you blew it versus TCU. You love the Big Ten title. Jesse, that was 3 years ago in college football when winning your conference championship was the only way a team in the Big Ten would make a 4-team playoff. Yeah. You can't move the goalposts here. Yesterday's story ain't today's story. Right. It's a much different game.
Ohio State did not win the Big Ten last year.
They didn't even make it to the Big Ten championship game.
They won the national championship is what he's saying. It's not the same anymore, guys.
I just don't understand. And then our good buddy Shane. I love this back and forth with Shane. Shane is the epitome. Ryan is the epitome of a Michigan fan. Puffs his chest when his team wins, and then deflects when they lose. I just
same point. See last answer.
I don't understand what possibly more I could
Shane,
say.
let's talk about the game for Friday night. What do you want me to say? Michigan State was better. They won. I think they're the better team. I said I think they're a Final Four team. What do you want me to say? Jace Richardson is going to be a stud.
I would never cry over a regular season loss in college basketball. Right. I would never lose 1 minute.
What do you want me to do? Break it down? Oh,
I
did
don't
you see
even
that
care
play?
if Michigan wins the championship.
Did you see that three-pointer? I forgot the Spartan that hit like 6 3-pointers in a row. Right. I did forget his name.
Maz, get us out of here.
Is it time?
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt's having too much fun, man. He's getting
Matt's enjoying himself.
We're late, man.
He love at the desk.
Hey, we'll see Braylon tomorrow. Probably won't see Ryan though. Well, we'll see Braylon tomorrow. It's
I'll be in Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week.
Okay, great.
Just telling you my schedule.
All right. Hey guys, Pistons Clippers tonight. Get on down to Little Caesars. If you have not gone to a game yet, you're missing out on one of the best teams to watch right now. For your money, they give it out. And the Wings will be playing tomorrow at Minnesota. Another red-hot team. Go Red Wings. Wings right now, the #1 wild card team in the East. For Ryan Ermanni, for Ricky, for Pete, it's Maz.
I love you guys.
We'll see you tomorrow right here on Woodward Sports. Heavyweights are next.